and welcome to Dungeoneered, a podcast dedicated to discussing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Josh.
Let's do this. All right, Josh, so for the Lukewarm Open, I was inspired by a movie that I watched recently called, which you've probably heard of it, Howl's Moving Castle.
I've definitely heard it and watched it many times.
You like it?
Yeah, very much so.
Good. I was going to say, if you don't like it, I was going to have to throw a tantrum or something, because it's like an amazing movie. Do you like most Miyazaki movies?
Very much so. Even
like,
his
My Neighbor Totoro, baby. Oh yeah, the best movie ever.
Even Go Panda Go.
I've never seen Go Panda Go. Go Panda Go?
Go Panda Go.
Look this up now.
Now this is a Miyazaki work before he was known as Miyazaki as what he's done. This is a Miyazaki. It's like a small movie. It has like 3 parts, and I believe there's like Go Panda Go, like a second one, and this is
there are multiple. I didn't know this was a thing.
But yes, this is before he even had his studio of like Studio Ghibli, like before that was even a thing, and so it was so the story of it is it's this like 5-year-old child who is like, her parents are dead and she's living with her grandma. The grandma's friend dies of just old age, and the grandma really wants to go to the funeral, but she's like, I can't leave this 5-year-old child here. But the child convinces the grandma, oh no, it's fine, I'll be fine here for like a week or so.
Oh no.
No, which in real life would not work, but in the show it works.
How does a 5-year-old survive for a week?
Well, what happens is some pandas show up, and they begin to become a little family. And then in the next few movies, they go on adventures and save a zoo, and there's a train, and there's like a flood, and it's a whole thing.
Of course, pandas come and
they
help a
family.
Little girl live for. That's so so weird.
It is so weird, but hey, it worked. It did good at least. People are still talking about it.
I only know him from his like Studio Ghibli movies.
Yep. That I only knew about this one because my sister is super into Japanese culture and all this stuff. And so like her first thing that got her really into it was My Neighbor Totoro.
Go Panda Go.
No, My Neighbor Totoro. And she watched it a lot as a child. And so she really had a love for Miyazaki and his work. And so when she had kids, she wanted to show them stuff, and Go Panda Go is really good for like young kids. It's really entertaining and kind of it's so silly. There's all these different animals on the screen.
Stay at the house by themselves for a week, and pandas will rescue them.
And pandas will rescue them, just like real life.
Yep, it's real life.
It's real life, but she showed them that, and I was like, "What is this?" And I found out what it was from that.
Huh. Well, for Howl's Moving Castle, though, I was inspired for the Lukewarm Open, because I was like, we've made castles before. We've done like castle siege stuff.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, how would you make like literally a Howl's Moving Castle, and like who would be in it? What would you put in it?
Okay. Remind me the exact stuff about Howl's Moving Castle. It's been so long since I've watched it. Like, what are the key features that you believe needs to be in it for it to really feel like a Howl's Moving Castle thing?
Well, okay, so this is the part where I think it could be left open. I'm just thinking more along the lines of a moving castle. It doesn't have to like resemble Howl's Moving Castle.
Okay.
Although Howl's Moving Castle is really cool because it like walks on legs. I think that's super
there is
cool,
something like that in D&D.
Is there?
It's a hut on legs. It's okay. Let's start with an easy way of walking us to this person. So, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything is a book that came out semi-recently. I still haven't looked at that book. I bought it, and I have it on D&D Beyond, but I haven't actually read through it. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything is written by this witch named Tasha. Tasha was raised by the Baba Yaga, and the Baba Yaga has a house that walks on chicken legs.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And so that's all in D&D.
I love that kind of concept. Like Howl's Moving Castle, it looks so like weird and creepy to me because it like walks on 4 legs. It's like this huge castle.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you do for D&D? How would you like put a moving castle in, and then more importantly, who would be in it and what would like they be doing inside?
Okay, well, I feel like we need to say what type of a world this is in, because I feel like it would be very different for different worlds.
Let's just do like a generic high fantasy magic world, like where
Well,
magic
if
is
we're
super
gonna if we're
common
gonna
and
do like
prevalent.
a high fantasy one where magic is super common, I would have it be someone who it would be weird to have a. I would have it be a weird commune, like a really hippie commune where they're all into like.
Hippie commune on
Yeah,
a
it's a
giant
great
moving
little
castle.
hippie. Yeah, it's so there's a huge castle, but there's also like a huge garden. And the garden is like everybody's always out in the garden, like very rarely, only to sleep do they really go into the castle. And they're just like, yeah,
Like
man,
it's like a
just live out
bastion of
here,
defense,
man.
but it's owned by
Embrace
hippies who
life.
don't use it for that purpose.
Yep. So that's my idea.
What about like what about like you could do like a typical wizard made of creepy big castle that walks on legs. I mean, that's probably like the go-to, right? That's what I'd imagine. But what would you
Yeah, so
like
I
if we
wanted
were
to
to
go
give this
away
thing
from
legs?
wizard. Well, if you
If we
want
were to
legs,
give this thing legs, what would they look like?
I probably wouldn't do legs. What I would do is I would do it's on the back of a creature.
For some reason I just had a picture of a castle. And you know like the fishnet leg lamp?
Uh-huh. From A Christmas Story.
Has fishnet legs. I just couldn't. I don't know why I thought of that.
Have you
It's
seen
so
the
stupid.
Kirby
It's so
drawn
dumb.
with fishnet legs?
What was that?
Have you seen the Kirby drawn with human legs with fishnets?
No, that's got to be so creepy.
Oh, it's the big. It's it's an abomination. 100% an abomination.
That's so creepy. We have a hippie commune with fishnet legs that walks around.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't do fishnets. I would have it be on like
No,
a
absolutely
turtle.
not.
So instead of doing legs, it would actually be a creature. And maybe the creature's even like built into the castle, so you don't even see the creature. You just kind of see the legs as you were having it. But there is actually a creature there.
Yeah, I like if I had to pick like what I think would be the coolest for a moving castle, it would probably be like some sort of like weird abomination creature that they've like built the castle around, and the only thing that shows are like these like weird gangly legs that kind of like that are like spindly and kind of like when they walk like look kind of funny, because I really like that like concept. Very anime style though, but I really like that concept of like these creepy bent almost spider leg type legs that kind of like extend out of a castle. I like that concept a lot.
Yeah.
Especially if they're like, I don't know, dark purple or black or something like just like weird and unsettling. I like that a lot. I think that's my favorite concept, which is very Howl's Moving Castle. Although I think Howl's Moving Castle is more steampunky, but it's still kind of similar.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all I have for the
Well, that
that's all I
works.
have for the lukewarm opening.
It's an interesting lukewarm open you got there. Well,
What do we
this
got for the
week-
main course, baby?
yeah. So this week, I wanted to talk about Vampire the Masquerade, and I wanted to talk about specifically what is the Masquerade.
Are we making vampires?
No, we're more. We could if we want to go like just direct ripoff, we could totally do that. I'm
Make
more
a
talking
vampire
about.
cult?
I'm more talking about the code that vampires have, which is called the Masquerade, to hide that vampires exist in the real world. And so it's this mutually agreed upon rules that are like, hey, don't reveal vampires exist.
It's like Harry Potter. Don't reveal that magic exists.
Yeah, but it's so integral to vampire society that the vampire role-playing system is literally called Vampire the Masquerade because it's all about this masquerade. But before we get into that...
Why do they do that? Why do they do that? Is it because like they don't want to die, get killed, or murdered by people?
Oh,
or what?
100%. 100%. There's a group with the Roman Catholic Church that tries to kill them, which actually the whole like origin story of vampires and Vampire the Masquerade is really interesting because they take like the biblical stories and they go off that. Like the first vampire is Cain. After he killed his brother, he became a vampire. And so humans are actually born of the third brother of Adam and Eve. I mean, the third child of Adam and Eve, Seth. And they're called the children of Seth. And so
Interesting.
Canaanites. Canaanites are vampires. They're descendants
Adam,
of Cain.
Eve, and Seth.
Well, it's Cain, Abel, and Seth. Abel was killed by Cain.
Okay.
And Seth is the younger brother who they had afterwards, who his children became humanity. But yeah,
for some reason I thought you said like Adam, Eve, and then Seth was in there.
I did say something like that. I started saying it in a weird way that made it sound like it was. Yeah, you're right. I did.
Like there's just this random dude who's a vampire named Seth.
But thanks for pointing. No. Seth is not a vampire. Cain became a vampire when he killed his brother. In the biblical story of Cain and Abel, where the first murder, that whole thing.
Yeah. For some reason, my mind was just like, oh, there's just some random vampire dude named Seth in the Garden of Eden, I guess.
In Vampire the Masquerade,
hey guys,
there are many groups and machinations going on. But Vampire Society,
Nosferatu.
The main groups are the Sabbat, a group of vampires that have rejected the Camarilla's Vampire Society from the traditions, which partially evolved into what we're going to discuss, the Masquerade, to the governmental structure. The next major group is the Camarilla. They're the most organized vampire group. They're a secretive club that favors tradition and control of the mortal populace from behind the scenes. And lastly are the Anarchs, who don't reject all of the traditions. They mostly respect the Masquerade, but they hate like the expected respect and control that the elder vampires, some that have lived for thousands of years, hold just because they have been a vampire longer. And this last group is more of a recent trend, but has grown significantly. And the Masquerade is...
So there's like different... So like, okay, is... This question was most likely kind of already answered, but like, so in Vampire the Masquerade, generational things are really, really big for the vampire groups?
Yeah, so like you start out, like the younger you are, the less respect you have in the society. Because vampires are immortal, so they live for thousands and thousands of years. And so the people from like Vlad the Impaler's days they expect this respect and reverence, and like any lesser or younger vampire should fall into line underneath them. And so recently there is a group that had the Anarch movement that are like, screw that. Like, why? Like, no, we should do this fairly. Why would we follow you just because you're old?
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid question.
It is. And so they're like, hey, like, no, screw that. And so they're an interesting group. But within all of these three major factions, the Masquerade is different within each of these groups. But the main group that follows the Masquerade, as I said, is the Camarilla. In the Camarilla, vampires reside in a sort of hidden feudalism, where princes rule over areas of great importance and control laws and regulations within their territory. They can even have wars between the different princes, and people within the prince's domain could even rise up and try to take control and become the new prince.
And isn't also Vampire the Masquerade set like present day, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's set present day. Well, honestly, you could set it whenever. Like the game is supposed to be this hidden society, so as long as you can engage with this, as I said, hidden or secret feudalism in any setting.
Yeah.
It's and that the thing is, it's always this interesting, like, for anybody who likes political games or like games like that, where like that is what Vampire the Masquerade is. It's this politics where there's also this hidden layer of we can't let the humans know.
Yeah.
And also there's an interesting mechanic of the beast. And the beast is like your vampiric, like your animalistic vampire side. So the vampire that's just like, I need blood. And you have to like keep the beast fed because you get more of these like red blood dice. And if you fail on your blood dice, like there's bad consequences. So you need to keep your hunger in check. And so there's all these really cool. It's really good.
Okay. This is a little bit sidetracked, but also on topic. How would you how would you have vampires in D&D? Like, if somebody wanted, like a PC wanted to play one. Is there rules for that?
They just came out in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft.
Oh, cool.
Which
just curious because I've always wanted to play it.
Yeah, it's a
Vampires
book
are one of my favorite things in like mythology and
I actually had
I love like vampires. They're so cool.
Yeah. In my first campaign that we
one.
finished all the way my first campaign that we finished, so we went all the way through to like what we felt was the big climax. In that one of the players, he didn't specifically request this, but he had this story, and I was like, I don't know how that would work without you being some sort of immortal, like you living all those years. There has to be a reason for it, and so I'm like, okay, would you be okay being a vampire? And then I had this whole like idea set up already for like, there was this vampire and you could know about it and you could be related to it or something. And so I actually played him what's called a Dhampir, which is like a half vampire. They do not exist in the Vampire the Masquerade system, but they exist in D&D.
Huh. A half vampire. How does that even work?
I'm not 100% sure. You might be like the child of a vampire or something, a vampire and a human. I don't know exactly how you get half vampires. In Vampire the Masquerade, becoming a vampire it's pretty simple. It does take a lot out of the person who sires you. What they do is they have to suck all of your blood, and then you have to drink some of their blood, which is called, it's a special, by saying they have blood is quotation marks. It's called Vitae, and it's like this magic energy that your blood kind of becomes when you become a vampire. And you fill them up with your Vitae.
That's so nasty.
Mm-hmm. Now,
gotta drink their delicious juice.
I never hated the taste of blood. It tastes like iron. It doesn't taste bad. It doesn't taste good. It just tastes like
Josh,
iron.
I think
it tastes kind of rusty.
We're gonna have to end this episode here.
In the Camarilla,
I don't mind the taste of blood. Is there something you want to tell me, Josh?
In the Camarilla, vampires reside in...
Wait, whoa. You just ignored it. You didn't even answer the question. I feel like you're a secret vampire.
Went too far back. So they can even have wars between the different princes, and the people within domains could even like rise up and have a revolution and replace the prince. There are a lot of interesting stories that really can happen inside this secret feudalism, and it's really fun to play in. Despite these territories and regimes, the Masquerade is the connective tissue between all of them, since it is a thing enforced for not just one area's protection, but for all vampire kinds' protection. And even though the Sabbat hates the traditions, which some of them did become the modern-day Masquerade, they still understand the importance of this secrecy. Now, these rules weren't strictly enforced and weren't super accurately translated amongst these groups when the Masquerade was made around before the Masquerade was made around the 15th century. But Vampire Society has had some issues with it, and during one of the revolutions, the existence of many, many, many vampires were revealed to a group called the Inquisition that actually hunts vampires for the Catholic Church. After this point, the Masquerade became very important, and all the groups kind of came to this understanding, we can never let this happen again.
How much lore is there in Vampire the Masquerade?
So much.
Is there quite a bit?
Oh, insane.
Seems like it's pretty
insane.
in-depth.
Dude, so they've had five editions, just like D&D. And so each edition has added to it so much. And so, like, wasn't
there like a group who played it online for a while? That was pretty popular.
I don't know if... so the one I watched was called LA by Night, and it was Geek and Sundry, and it was so good.
Yeah.
Like, incredibly good. I loved all of the players and their side character, like the side PCs that would come in for like an episode here, an episode there. Incredible. Really just like, did it so good. I would highly suggest it for anybody who's like interested about like, what's Vampire the Masquerade like? it's super good. The LA by Night by Geek and Sundry was really good. Now, famously...
Yeah, that's the one I remember, I think.
Yeah. Famously, in 1450, a vampire named Rafael de Corazon made a speech that inspired and guided the Camarilla into making one of their primary goals protecting and enforcing the masquerade to prevent as much conflict with the Inquisition and other mortals, such as werewolves and us regular humans. Some might say the Camarilla is like the mob. When it comes to breaks of the masquerade, a lot of the princes prefer to make an example of someone with a swift beating rather than a drawn-out investigation to find the right person. Now, breaking the masquerade can be done in many ways, from feeding in public and being caught, to being caught using a discipline. Now, for those of you who don't know Vampire the Masquerade, disciplines are like the magic of the vampire. They are supernatural powers normally tied to which clan you are from.
Yeah, isn't there one that's like super strong and like athletic?
Yeah, so one of them is like you can call upon strength greater than that of a normal human. And one is like obfuscate, where it's like it's really hard for people to see me. Like it could be as simple as like people just kind of like seem to not want to look where you're at. And so it's just like this weird, it's instead of like straight up like it's magic, you cast fireball like it is in like D&D, in Vampire it's like it is stuff that is so like based around like being as non-evident as possible that it's like you could almost pass it off as normal, but there's just something weird about it. There's this weird supernatural flavor to it. So really, the masquerade can be broken by doing anything supernatural that no human should be able to do, is really what it is. Now,
and these guys come and beat you up.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, these things that I mentioned, most of them are fine as long as they're not witnessed by humans or mortals. But certain vampiric abilities are considered almost breaks of the masquerade and would bring the Camarilla's ire, if not outright enmity, such as creating a ghoul. Now, I already explained this part in Vampire the Masquerade, how you create a vampire. Now, if you wanted to create a ghoul, instead of draining them first, then feeding them your vitae, you feed them your vitae immediately. And in that situation, you temporarily create a ghoul. And a ghoul becomes more of a permanent ghoul the more times that it drinks your vitae. Now, ghouls get certain vampiric abilities and begin to lust after more vitae, because to mortals, vitae is like a drug and makes you hooked on your supplier. So vampires use these thralls to make their lives easier. But they are potential risks to the masquerade, especially if the vampire regnant or domitor, the one who created them, doesn't control their thrall tightly. Now, each different clan in the vampire world has different things that they are good at. And the Camarilla has the Ventru, a clan skilled in control and power. Many Ventru that are embraced, aka turned into a vampire, are already in positions of power and wealth. This clan is not averse to taking the rough choices and taking care of problems that are in their way, making them the Camarilla's go-to choice for enforcing the masquerade.
They're like a evil secret police mafia group.
It's like they're like because the Ventru are really good at like they're like leaders, so they're very good at like they're a lot of times they are heads of things, so they're like well-known politicians or CEOs of major companies or CFOs or just like high-ranking business people and stuff. But they also have this ruthlessness about them that gets them where they wanted to go. Now, this is all I have about...
So, okay, wait. Here's another question then.
Here's another answer.
Is there a vampire group that like uses like charm and stuff that can like seduce people, I guess, and charm them?
Yeah.
Is that considered breaking the masquerade if you charm somebody?
If you're caught. Like
Okay.
if it's
So only if
it's
you're
like
caught, otherwise
if
it's
you're
fine. So that's like a
yeah,
super risky thing then, right?
most of Vampire the Masquerade's disciplines, if you want to do it in public, it's risky. It's like, hey, you could succeed and then have like maybe a really powerful thrall, or have like, or just do these things in public. But there's also a huge possibility of someone catching, of like seeing you, and if they do, you have to chase them down and kill them before anybody else sees. Or
Can you play in the Vampire Masquerade a person who's seen like a vampire group? I mean, there's probably no point, but and not be a
what do you mean?
vampire, or do you have to be a vampire?
I mean, you could play anybody you want in like you don't have to, just like in D&D, you could play a villager if you want, but most people don't want to play that. They want to be a
Yeah.
hero of some sort.
Now are there Twilight werewolves too in Vampire Masquerade?
Oh yeah, so their combined world is called the World of Darkness, and it's by the White Wolf company
Nice.
that makes the RPGs. And the World of Darkness is it's like werewolves, vampires, and like all of those kind of like monsters like that. They only have
Yeah.
RPGs set in this world for vampires and werewolves, but there's other creatures that exist in those worlds as well.
Interesting.
But yeah, so this is all I had for the Vampire the Masquerade episode. And my thought for our topic is that we create a secret society or special group of people that keep a code of conduct that kind of hide that they are different from the world. Whether this group is like, oh, they're descendants of the kings, or they're like, they somehow are like related to those dream creatures we made last week. Oh, I think it was 2 weeks ago.
I like this.
Like
I like this.
any,
I like
like I
this
don't know
idea a
how,
lot.
I don't know what they are specifically, but yeah, so that was my idea.
All right, so well, I guess we just gotta how we normally do. How do we want to do this? What do we want to do? What are we thinking? Like, if we make a secret society, do we want it to be evil? Do we want it to be good? We never make good stuff. Do we want it to be good? But good's boring too, you know?
But also, it doesn't have to be like super good. It could just be like their goals are not detrimental to the world.
Yeah, my brain, the very first place that it goes is like a secret magical academy, but that's just Harry Potter, you know? So
Yeah.
that's just a Harry Potter, and I kind of want to avoid that. My next one is a secret vampire cult, but that's Vampire the Masquerade, so I kind of want to avoid that too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to make a group of descendants, like a secret group of descendants of the kings. I don't know if I want to do that.
That was just an idea. It doesn't have to be that.
Yeah.
I did think it would be an interesting
Okay, well, let me ask you this
to
then.
play with.
Why would a group of people be hiding something from the rest of the world? Like, what would cause them to do that, you know? So, like, why would any individual, any group of people decide that this needs to be a secret?
And okay, for which group?
Like, if we're making a secret, like a secret society,
Yeah.
why do they need to have their society secret?
Well, I mean, it depends on what group. So that's why I was asking, like, what group are we thinking?
Well, like, are they different from everybody? Is it like illegal to do what they're doing in a country? Is it? Because this might help us form an idea. If we like, what would cause a society to have to go and like be secret? What would cause a group of people to be secret? Like, you could do something's outlawed in a land and they're performing those tasks. You could do they're different than everybody else, and so they're kind of discriminated against or looked down upon. You could do their politics are different than like they're trying to usurp the political system that they're currently residing under.
Well, if you want to have it
like
similar to Vampire the Masquerade, we could easily do like a they are trying to like have a hand in the politics of the world. They're trying to
what if we did like some sort
parts
of
the world.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what if we did some sort of like political group, or maybe we could play off a little bit of the descendants of the kings and have a group who is like outlawed from a land because they are the actual rightful rulers of that land, But that's very tropey. That's super tropey.
Yeah, and I kind of want it to be like a big group and they have like some sort of big secret and it might be a fun thing for the party to like discover and kind of work through and figure out.
Okay, what if we did... Okay, my first thought then with that goes to magic again. What if we did like an arcane academy that has a huge secret that they like practice an illegal type of magic of some sort?
Interesting.
So the academy itself is not secret.
Yeah.
And people go to this academy, but it has they have some sort of secret that they must keep, otherwise society would turn and like try and destroy it or get rid of it. Some sort of magic that they practice, or some sort of, probably magic that they practice is probably what I would see. And the first thing that would come to my mind is necromancy, but that's again a huge trope. My next thought was like some sort of blood magic, like sacrificial magic.
Yeah.
Like maybe this like arcane academy is like advanced in terms of like arcane facilities and things, and the only way they keep everything powered and running is by sacrificing or using blood magic of some kind.
Yeah.
And perhaps like this arcane academy has even like caused the land around it to be abundant and prosperous, and all the people enjoy the arcane academy because of all the things it does for the city or the, state or the country or whatever.
Yeah.
And if everybody were to find out that they were actually like using blood magic to create all these benefits and fuel all these benefits, then the state or the city would rebel against them.
So wait, sorry, what type of magic did they do?
I don't know. My first thought was blood magic, like sacrificial magic, or like using the power within a living creature, an individual.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can do totally different something else too. We could do like...
I mean, that works. I was just wondering if you had any other ideas. Yeah, so I think, okay. So we have these blood mages.
Is that even a thing in D&D? I guess there's blood hunters now.
Yeah.
From
blood hunters are more like The Witcher.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of like there's like inherent magical energy within a humanoid's blood.
Mm-hmm.
And you can learn to harness and control it to do stuff. So
yeah, like I like that there's like an innate... I normally have that in my world, and that's partially how like sorcerers come to be. There's just like there's this power within people, and it's some might call it a soul, some might call it other things, but it's a battery source. It's a power.
Yeah, and maybe we could even have this be a ancient long lineage relating back to the king who created all the constructs, and he fueled the constructs by harnessing blood magic. That's how he created so much energy.
Mm-hmm.
To like maintain these constructs and keep them running. And so this arcane academy has now been established and set up, and it provides all these wonderful benefits.
Writing on the power of...
Yes, yeah, and they start delving into how they can harness the power of, the innate power of people's blood.
Mm-hmm.
Which then, what would they be doing then? Would they be like sacrificing people? I don't know if like do we like...
No, I don't see it as ever. I don't see
sacrifice either.
I see it more as it's... okay.
Do we play off vampires and like they harvest people's blood? Do we play off like vampires?
So I think it's like almost like a... I don't want to say reverse vampire, but kind of. What it is it's these people are willing to give up this power, and you said it's like they protect a nation or something like that. And so maybe it's...
No, they existed. Like, I was thinking they more existed within a nation, and since they've existed in this nation, there's been like, it's grown in prosperity because they've been able to harness this like blood magic to like make plants grow better too.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. So I was thinking there's like an underground secret base kind of like in the middle of this nation where like it looks like these people are on these like horrifying torture devices, and they kind of are, but the devices are providing like this. There's a spell in D&D like a
so what I was also
like for 8 hours. I mean for 8 might have been 8 hours or 8 days. It gives like the land is like super prosperous, and maybe it's something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, what I was somewhat along those lines.
Yeah.
Well, I had two separate ideas. I had some where they have like people known as harvesters. Like they're like a secret organization within this academy known as harvesters. Yeah. And they sneak their way into homes and very much like vampires, and they like harvest people's blood. They don't like drink it or anything, but they contain it and they use it. Like they keep it in vials or something, and they bring it back to the academy to fuel whatever arcane devices they use. And so they're called like harvesters or something. And they're like literally a secret organization that the academy has. And if during this, like while you're in the academy, if you're found to have like potential for blood magic, they slowly try to like indoctrinate you and get you into the harvesters so that you can go and harvest blood from people and bring it back to the academy to fuel these arcane devices that they have and use.
Okay.
So that was
is great.
One
and
thought.
I'm thinking what it brings to my mind is there is a game. There's in BioShock. There are the little sisters who. Have you played BioShock?
I have not, but I don't care about spoilers. So
okay. Well, I mean, it's not really spoilers. It's part of like the advertising for the game. So there's these little sisters, and they have these giant syringes, and they find bodies across the whole of the place under the water called Rapture that are full of this kind of magic energy source called Adam. And they absorb, they suck it up, and so Adam is actually it's not good for humans, and so it kind of makes them go mad after a while, and so that is what happens with that's part of the reason why it's such a mess down in Rapture is because everybody went mad because they were using this to because they could make themselves have magic, which anybody would want to invest in that more and more and more and get more.
Yeah, especially if you didn't know like what it came from. You know,
I mean, what it came from. Well, no. So what it came from originally is sea slugs.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's this weird creature they found underneath the water that had this atom in it, and what they would do with it is they found out how to turn it into these things. And so they turned it into these called Vigors, or actually I think Vigors is the last game. I don't know I forget what they call them in the first ones. But eventually from extended use of this stuff, you go mad. And so, but I was just imagining like these little sisters, they harvest the atom from bodies of people that have died after going mad. And so, I love this harvester idea, and I'm just trying to think of a way of like adding to it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I really like it. I don't necessarily want there to be like a negative consequence for using the blood magic, except for that it's taboo.
I was more just explaining the lore of BioShock there, but like these little sisters are harvesters, like you're saying here, and I love that, and I love these. And I love that once they find out you have blood magic potential, they try to. I love that they try to like fill you with propaganda so that you believe that what they're doing is the right way, which it might be or it might not be. I don't want to make any judgment calls as of right now when we haven't even really.
And I think it would be really fun for. I mean, even if a player wanted to be from this academy and do something where this happens to them, you know, like I think it'd be really, really fun.
Yeah.
And then I was also like with the harvesters, like they also like, as I was saying, they have like attunement with blood magic, so they can easily harness the power, and so they're kind of like the ones who have been running these arcane devices. And so what happens is like the prosperity of the land increases because of these arcane devices, and more people come to their land. And so it's kind of like this weird, they're providing a very prosperous land and area for all these people to live in, but at the same time they're also like essentially feeding off of them to power these devices. And I think that alongside the harvesters, you'd probably have like another group who, like, if somebody found out this blood magic was like a thing and tried to escape the academy or something, they'd have like hunters who would like go out and try and hunt them and bring them back. and then they would probably harvest their blood and kill them or something. Like they'd kill them, they'd get rid of them, so that nobody knows that this blood magic is a thing that's been going on. So they'd have like harvesters and hunters, and harvesters go out and get blood and bring it back, and then hunters go and get people who have like found out and have discovered or have run away from the academy because of these realizations, and they try and kill them to get rid of them so that the secret doesn't get exposed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd probably have like a group of like, I don't know, like, I guess I'd probably call them healers who go out and like try and, if a person who escaped spreaded these rumors, would try and go and like heal the reputation of the academy. Like, no, that's not a thing that actually happened. That doesn't exist. You can come and inspect the academy. Anyone's welcome in our doors. Mm-hmm. Anyone's welcome to live here. You know, nothing like that has ever happened in the history of the academy. And so you'd have like these three separate groups, one that collects resources, one that tries to hunt down escaped resources or escape people who have the knowledge of the academy, and then one who tries and like promotes and heals the reputation of the academy.
Yeah.
And then otherwise it's like a plain academy. It's like going to college, like going to wizard school. Everybody like shows up, they take classes, they learn magic of all types, different kinds. You know, they have basic studies, they have like wizard tournaments, things like that. But all underneath the whole entire academy is this blood harvesting ring, essentially, that feeds and fuels these arcane devices that the Wizard Academy provides for the people that live in the area.
Yeah. Okay. I really like this. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's super, super cool. Now the question is how do they keep it secret? Do they just have it? They just have it buried? Like how do harvesters remain secret? Do they have magics that remove people's memories if they wake up during this, like during a harvest?
Okay,
like what's the deal here?
I want to.
I don't see them killing people.
No, but I want to go back over who you think and why they grab certain people. I want to go over that and kind of clarify that.
Okay.
Why do they grab people, and who do they grab?
So are we talking about like who do they harvest, or who do they promote to blood magic, or both?
Who do they harvest, and why do they harvest specifically those people?
Honestly, how I'd probably see it is there's probably like I hate to use this example, but there's probably like in Star Wars, there's like midichlorians to determine how potent your force can be. And there's probably some sort of like arcana in your blood that essentially provides how strong your magic can be. So there's like sorcerer bloodlines that provide lots and lots of power, and that's why they're able to shoot and cast magic through their will and their bloodline. And then there are basic commoners who don't have very much, but still have some. Like everyone still has a base level. Some races have more, which is why in D&D, like some races can cast innate spells from their bloodline and their lineage. So there's like this weave of magic through every individual, but certain individuals have more and can become things like sorcerers. Some races have more, which they can cast like prestidigitation and cantrips and stuff like that from their bloodline. And so what harvesters can do is they can like see, after training and stuff, they can like see the potential energy in somebody's blood, like the arcana in somebody's blood. They have like almost like a divine sense. And they can like, with this sense, they can see magic. They can like detect magic in certain areas, like stuff like that. And so what they do is they can like sense this magic. And so they have crews that go out and are literally masquerading as something like, come to our magic fair, and get cool lights and chamber pots that recycle and, cool stuff. And so tons of people come to these big magic fairs and they essentially look and scout out people who have the most blood magic in their blood, like the most blood potential in their blood, and then they harvest it.
Yeah.
That's probably how I'd see it. And then, they'd probably harvest everyone, to be honest. Like there'd probably even be like the academy, like in the city that's around it, they'd probably even have like crop rotation. Or like they harvest this section of the city over these months, and then they harvest this section of the city over these months, and then this section of the city over these months.
Okay.
So that like,
how did this all get started? This is not something that people would normally jump to when it comes to.
Well, my first thought is that somebody found a device that was made by the Wizard King that they couldn't power.
Yeah.
Through normal magical means, and they ended up either finding notes about it or discovering that blood has potential, like magical potential, and that's how people can cast spells and do things like that. And so if you can harvest enough blood, you can essentially harvest somebody's magical essence. Mm-hmm. And then they learned by doing that they can power this arcane device, whether it was like anything really. It doesn't really matter. Like whether it was like some sort of construct that they found, whether it was some sort of literally a space heater, but just like a ruby that provides heat, like, anything along that lines. But they couldn't power it themselves. Like it was dead, but they could tell that there's a purpose behind this, and you can feed it with magical power, but there wasn't a means to do so. And then what I would see happening is that these people aren't bad people. Like they're not like, we want to bring the destruction of civilization and humanity, but we want to provide and make it prosperous. And if we have these arcane tools at our disposal, then we should use them to make us more prosperous. And then essentially, because they knew it was going to be frowned upon by society, they had to go become secret in order to use these, but they wanted humanity to prosper.
Okay.
That's probably how I'd see it starting.
Yeah.
Somebody, like I said, somebody finds some sort of device that they can't power with their own magic. And they either tried doing things desperate, or they found notes, or they just discovered. Even you could have some sort of brilliant wizard discover the power in magic, or the power in blood, and probably somebody who did that would probably be a little bit mad. Probably be a little bit crazy if you're like tampering with blood magic and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's absolutely it's a very reasonable way to start an academy like that. And then once you found out that there was magic in people's blood, you would start a magical academy, because the people who have the most are people who use magic, people who can use magic, especially like sorcery and stuff.
Yeah.
So then you just teach people magic while also harvesting your students and harvesting the people around you. And then if your students have the potential for blood magic and can, there's signs that show that they have blood magic, then you try and recruit them into the harvesters.
Okay.
I think that's super reasonable. The other question would be, how does somebody show that they have signs of blood magic, like that they can harness and use blood magic?
Well, I don't think it's gonna be as I don't know what, like, if there would be something on a character sheet you could identify.
No, probably not. But you could. If you wanted to do something really simple, you could literally give people blood magic spell slots. But how would somebody how could you tell that somebody had a affinity with blood magic? I don't know. How would somebody? I don't know how somebody would see that. Or, once you have the sight, you could see that somebody had a high magical content in their blood. But how would you originally begin to see that they might be capable of doing something like that?
Well, I'm trying to think of something. It would have to be something that DM added to a character sheet for some reason. Either there's two ideas I have. One, either it's something that it's not really visible, and the DM would just say, "Oh, you have the ability for it," and you don't ever actually fully explain what it is. You explain it in game terms, in terms that the players wouldn't be able to be like, "No, it doesn't make any sense." It's like, hey, it's a magic world. It makes sense. I think that one is a possibility, but the other way that I was thinking is you make all players have that ability. All players have blood magic potential. And the way that we know that is hit dice. So the ability
they can spend hit dice to heal themselves.
Exactly. So the ability to recover and heal on a short rest is astronomical. Nobody can do, very few people can do that, and that's all players have that. And so it's this ability to just be able to rest for an hour and feel better, that is blood magic potential.
Yeah, I like that too. And I think it'd be even fun to mess with that even further and do like the further along in the process they become, they can like spend hit die to hurt people. Like spend their hit die to like do more magic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good idea. The hit dice is a really good idea because it would give like, I mean, yes, it doesn't really make any sense in D&D why you can rest for a short rest and, you know, get all the way back up to max HP if you spend all your hit die, you know?
Yeah.
And that would kind of add a little bit of a reason for that, which would be kind of cool, which would be kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could have them interact with the harvesters and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good idea. I think that's very reasonable. The hit die is like literally the sign of blood magic, and again, not very many commoners can just, you know, take a short rest and heal their hit points. You know? Yeah, and then you could play with all sorts of stuff with hit die if you wanted. You could have them be able to add it to attack rolls, like a hit die to their attack roll, like a bardic inspiration type thing, depending on how much they wanted to pursue going down the blood magic line. You can do all sorts of stuff. You could even just make an entire class if you wanted, to be honest.
Yeah. I think
there's a lot of potential.
More like giving them feats that are like just slightly change up how things work and not like, I mean, I do like creating classes for sure, but I don't think it has to be that way.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to create a class.
I think there's a lot of fun in just like, because it requires.
I actually think though blood magic has a really high potential to make an entire class.
Oh no, very much so. But it also requires you kind of forcing a character to play that, or them being the one approaching you about playing that.
Yeah, which I think is okay. I think that's fine though for this case.
Well, I don't know if they would if you did tell them, "Hey, this exists," and by telling them that exists, and they want to play it.
Yeah, no, totally. But I think for this type of case, like I think it would be incredibly reasonable that only, you know, it's like literally a specific class that can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And what is Blood Hunter? Blood Hunter is more like, because I know they can like cut themselves and their blood like produces like electricity on their blades and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
And there is a blood cleric, isn't there?
I don't know if there's one in actual D&D.
I think there is. I thought there was. Maybe.
I am a cleric of blood
cleric. Because wasn't it in Critical Role recently?
He's a grave domain.
No. No. It's not who I'm thinking about.
Okay, so the cleric domains are arcane. Arcane, death, forge, grave, knowledge, life, light, nature, order, peace, tempest, trickery, and twilight.
It's Matthew Mercer's custom domain, the blood domain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, I feel like it would have to be a custom thing, like it wouldn't be an official D&D.
It might be in his book though.
Well, no, that's literally that. Those are the domains that they have on D&D Beyond. So,
got it.
Those are all the officially licensed, made in books things.
Yeah.
So these harvesters. So the groups inside them are harvesters. What were the other names you had?
Well, I had harvesters, hunters, and healers.
It was hunters.
And harvesters harvested bloods. Hunters like hunted people who knew about the secrets.
Oh yes, yeah.
And then healers tried to like repair the reputation of the academy if these secrets were to get out.
Yeah.
I'm not set on the healer name though, but
yeah, I was not a huge fan of the healer name, but
it's just that's the basic concept of them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's all we.
One harvests, really. One hunts, and one like heals the reputations. So
yeah.
And promotes. I'd probably even see it as like promoting as well, to get more people into the academy, to get more people into magical fairs, to get more people to, you know, like they promote all the events that the Arcane Academy does. They're like representatives essentially.
Yeah, and that's
because the more people you have, the more blood magic you can do. The more people who attend your events, the more you can harvest.
Yeah, that's what the Venture do. The more they when they go to deal with any breaking of the masquerade. They also are healers in that way, where they are not just dealing with the person who broke the masquerade, they're also taking out the people, like taking out, or like, as you were saying, like, oh, that's never happened. No, they've never done anything like that to the to smooth it over with the humans.
Yeah, and I would definitely see a group in this academy that would do things like that, because you would need it.
Yeah,
because there's no way that it wouldn't somehow partially slip up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, they would also promote the academy and so on and so forth, so that more people would come to their events for more harvesting. So,
yeah. Well, I think we got this.
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to stop, actually.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for listening to episode, I believe, 37 of Dungeoneered.
Dang, 37.
37. And as I'll say again, for any of you listening on podcasting services that have reviews and rating, please write a review, let people know what you think, and it really helps the show out. I don't know if I have anything else. Do you have anything, Aaron?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we have a surprise, but that's all I can say.
Yeah, I think we've been saying that for too long now.
Yeah, that's all. That's the only thing I ever have to say about it.
Well, thank you all for listening, and always remember, be the sharpest barrel in the bunch. See you next time.
Bye?